Welcome everyone. This is Kendra Blackett-Dibinga and Scarlett Salem from BikramYogaWorks and Drip Studios. Today we're going to be talking about some exciting research that Scarlett has been engaged in for her PhD research on Bikram Yoga. As many people know, we are a Bikram Yoga studio. We started with Bikram Yoga and started adding multiple class formats to complement the Bikram Yoga. And I always tell people that all roads lead to Bikram Yoga and BikramYogaWorks. But I wanted to take some time to talk to Scarlett today because she's doing some amazing research on Bikram Yoga. I met Scarlett many years ago as a Bikram yogi at BikramYogaWorks, and I wanted to kind of hear a little bit about her research. I want her to share with you what she's learning, what her next phase is, and we'll have an opportunity for you to participate towards the end. Hey, Scarlett.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's funny when you said you met me years ago, and years is like almost a decade now.
Yeah.
So it's just pretty remarkable to think, and especially for me with this project, to think like this could almost be like a decade in the making.
Yeah, definitely. Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing, about the research that you've been engaged in, and why you chose Bikram Yoga as your research study.
All great questions. So I've been working on my doctorate in public health for a couple of years now. I initially started not with the intent of studying Bikram Yoga, but one of the advisors on my committee, one day he said, I just hear you talking about like this Bikram Yoga thing a lot. Have you ever thought about doing your dissertation or your doctoral project on this? And I said, no, like, that's obviously a crazy idea. But the more we talked about it, I realized actually this area is ripe for research. So there is kind of a smaller but emerging, pretty strong scientific base supporting Bikram Yoga for the use for a couple of different conditions: depression, sleep quality, anxiety, distress tolerance. But it's still, it's still a smaller base relative to what we would need to show, say, for like insurance coverage or something like that. So we're looking to basically build upon that a little bit. There's a lot of quantitative studies for Bikram Yoga, but there are very few qualitative studies. And what that means is more people sharing their perspectives as opposed to taking like mathematical or statistical measurements per se.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the research in a little bit, but let's talk to the common person who's never taken Bikram Yoga before. And I want you to talk about it from your own experience.
That's fair.
When I met you, you were a hardcore Bikram yogi. Why did you choose Bikram Yoga as a practice for yourself?
That's a great question. So initially it was just kind of by chance. I lived in the area, the studio was nearby in Riverdale, and I took a chance and I showed up, and I just remember thinking, like that was interesting. So I'm definitely going to come back and do this. So I just kept coming back over time. And I found that the instructors all had something different to offer, that even though it was the same sequence, every class was a chance to test and retest how you were doing in those postures. And they were very challenging. Maybe your body felt a little different. Maybe the instructor said something to pull something out of you to help you with a different type of posture. So I was just really fascinated how the same sequence could still feel different every time and give you kind of a different reaction. And there's so many different benefits. It's hard to, components to it. It was hard for me to isolate it. Is it the heat? Is it the mirrors? Is it the silence? I came to actually appreciate all of it over time. So my reasons for practicing evolved, which was very fascinating to me too. Like at first, maybe I liked the heat and the postures. Then some days I just really appreciated the silence because the noises or the world is just very noisy. And then sometimes I just liked the mirrors because I just wanted to focus on myself too. So I always just found that very fascinating too. There were different components that were similar to other types of yoga, but then there were something that were very unique to Bikram Yoga, which I just came to appreciate over time.
Okay. I know when I started Bikram, it was a friend of mine who had told me that she had taken this class and she did not need to take her arthritis medication for 2 weeks after this one class. And I just remember thinking, well, if it could do that for her, what could it do for me? And I went to the class the next day and I had this instructor. I loved him, but I understood nothing that he was saying. And I just remember the feeling that I had after that first class, which was just of, like I could breathe. The sweat, I had never had a sweat like that, to be honest with you. And that was addictive to me. And there's an addictive quality to the Bikram Yoga practice itself that makes people keep showing up even though there are certain differences in instructors, but the sequence is always going to be the same. So for those of you who don't know, Bikram Yoga is a 90-minute class that is done in the heated room of about 105 degrees and 40% humidity. The goal is that you can really loosen the body so that you can actually flow through some postures. It really opens you up along all the ways the body should and could move. The class is 90 minutes long with 26 defined postures and 2 breathing exercises. Scarlett, let's talk a little bit more about, the questions that you're actually trying to ask in your research study.
Yeah.
What is it that you're trying to figure out?
Totally. It's kind of a broad research question. So it's considered a little bit more of like an exploratory study, meaning we have a lot of different avenues that we're going to explore. So broadly speaking, the question is like, what is the impact of Bikram yoga from a holistic perspective? Holistic meaning like all aspects of health, not like an alternative, like hand wavy kind of way, like all the different ways that improves the lives of regular practitioners. So people that are coming on a consistent basis, how are they benefiting from it? It could be emotional benefits, could be physical benefits, mental, physical, relational. It could be all of them. And so that's why, we're really trying to talk to people to tease those out. The more I started talking to people, or even if I wasn't talking to people, I was hearing them just talk about like what you said with your friend with your arthritis medication. They were just sharing all these stories, and a lot of them were good. Just all the different ways, like maybe it just made them more calm. They were more emotionally regulated when they went home to their kids. Maybe they had a bad day. They came to class. They completely forgot about it. They may have had a chronic condition they were dealing with, and Bikram yoga was helping to manage it over time. So for me, I like to listen more than I talk. And so I would just like hear a lot of these stories from people the more I became integrated in the community. And I thought, this is really fascinating. And I started to read about just other studios too, like maybe what are some of their experiences. And I was reading kind of like testimonies and anecdotes from other people too. And they were similar too, which I thought was interesting. Like, oh, my knees were really bad and now I can do XYZ, or like my back was really bad. And I started coming for a couple weeks or a couple months and I saw all these changes. So it wasn't necessarily like any one thing. There were a few common themes that I heard that people were receiving in terms of benefits, but it's always just like something different too, I feel like. Even just like every day, like this morning I heard someone talking about something and I thought, that's really interesting. I never heard anyone say that before. I'm glad they're getting that benefit from it.
Yeah. So what is your ultimate goal with the research? You mentioned at the beginning that, insurance companies might start to say, well, there's so much benefit to it that maybe we can get it covered. I know some services like acupuncture now is covered by health insurance. Is that part of your intention to try and say, look at the wealth of benefits that this offers, maybe on a preventative scale, and maybe insurance companies would be willing to take that into consideration?
I mean, that would be great. That's kind of the long-term goal. Obviously, we can't overpromise and say any one study will do something, but what I would like to do, at least, what do we say? Like, we stand on the shoulders of giants. So I just want to add to that base, because the more evidence that we have for something, like the more credible it becomes, the more likely, say, like healthcare professionals, community educators, eventually maybe like insurance companies will take a look and we can say, wow, we have all of this like research that's done in a good way too, like in a good, scientifically driven, theoretically grounded way. And that just helps with the odds of getting things like covered over time, because we just want to expand access to people. We just want to bring this to a lot of different people, especially because it's like a tool that you can use to help yourself. I don't want to overpromise, but it's always nice when you can do something for yourself as opposed to relying on someone else, is what I'll say.
Correct. Yeah. Well, that's what we try to learn in the process of doing the yoga, that we actually have a lot of power to change the trajectory of our health. And the more we are able to, identify with that, participate in that, I think that people will find that they do actually get the benefit. You just got cleared to do the, kind of the research, the actual collection of the data. Let's tell the community how they can participate.
Yeah, so broadly speaking, right now we're looking at talking to a couple studios in the area. We may expand the scope, and so we will be recruiting regular practitioners. So right now we're looking to recruit people that are practicing maybe at least once a week for the past couple of weeks. The first part of the study will be sending out a survey. It's very short. It's just a couple maybe a couple minutes to take. And it's just a couple questions about like, how long have you been practicing yoga and things like that. A little bit about how would you rate your health. So just some general questions there. And then there'll be an opportunity if people want to participate in a follow-up interview with me, and then we'll have a chance to go a little deeper in terms of exploring, what you have received from your Bikram yoga practice. But still, that will be just a shorter interview, maybe about 30 minutes with me. And so we'll kind of take a smaller snapshot of the people that filled out the survey for that. But doing the survey doesn't mean you have to do the interview, but if you can, we would love to. And everything, the surveys and whatnot are anonymous too as well. So we won't know. So you can kind of fill that out on your own time whenever, in the peace of your own home or on your phone.
Great. When will you be sending it out?
Ideally, we'll be sending out in early January, and we'll keep it open for a couple weeks.
Great. Scarlett, you are a dripped instructor, a flex instructor, a budding vinyasa instructor. You've been a part of the BikramYogaWorks family for a long time, but you also are very adamant about your practice. And so talk a little bit about that. Let the community know how you kind of integrated all of that.
Man, that's a great question. How do I keep it short without boring everyone? So it's something even over time where I've heard people say too, maybe they fall out of it and they always find their way back to it. I've never really I've never fallen fully out of it, but there have been times where I know 90 minutes is a lot in this town and you think I just don't have 90 minutes. And it's so easy just to throw it by the wayside and say, I'll do a shorter version or maybe I'll take another class. But to me, it's always been the anchor. And then everything else I fill in for that, because everything that I do, as you say, everything that you do helps with your Bikram. Mm-hmm. Everything that you do with your Bikram helps with everything else. And I have found a lot of the other things, especially with this studio too, a lot of the things that you have designed have been to fill in, everything kind of fits together perfectly. So they're nice complements to one another. So I think it's just a really nice transition for people as well too. But I notice even if I drift a little bit where maybe I think man, my new schedule's so busy. I don't know if I can do this. And I'll take a class and I just think, man, I am so glad I did this. All the little things, this morning I turned my neck on the ground a certain way and I was oh, thank you. I needed to turn my neck to the side, or I needed to put my arms underneath my body to stretch out my forearms from lifting weights or from typing a lot. So I'm always discovering things when I take a class. So I have found that it is a big struggle to stay away from it for long.
Great. Well, thank you, Scarlett. So everyone in the community, we hope that you'll participate. We are looking for people who are quote unquote regular practitioners. That means at least once a week that you've been taking class for the last couple months, maybe, what you would consider a regular. The purpose of this study seems like it's more consistent practice.
That's fair.
But we'll be sending out the information online. Please also talk to Scarlett in studio. And we thank you for tuning in. Take care.
Thank you.